So now let's discuss about in terms of an epidemiological aspect. So epidemiology is talking about the prevalence of a disease in a statistical way. So neoplasia as a new growth or new formation of a tumor, then let's look at what matters for this neoplasia or cancer formation. So we can ask, would age matters? Yes, it does matter. Why then elderly people are more prone to cancer? So let's look at the data first. So the data says here, male, female, in both cases over their age, the cases are increasing. So age matters. And why does it go this way? Because cancer eventually is a disease from a genetic mutation of a cell which is responsible for a cell growth and entering cell division. So that proliferation machinery, if there's a mutation, and that's likely to go to cancer or tumor formation. So that mutation is likely to accumulate over time. So that's why elderly people are prone to cancer. From more recent study, it does say that DNA replication process, there's always an error rate, you remember that. And because of that, over time, the cells proliferate, divide, there's always error rate. And if we are not very lucky, there's more chance for mutation happening in the important part of our DNA. So the second one is a gender. So gender difference matters. So for male versus female. So breast cancer probably is more prevalent in female, you can see. And there are ovarian cancer only happens to female. Likewise, prostate cancer only happens in male. And what about geographic area? So how does geography affect cancer incidence? There's a good example that, ozone layer, the opening of ozone layer in this in the southern part of the Earth, especially in Australia, that matters because of the UV radiation from the sun causes more skin cancer in that area. And even in Australia, let's say there's a Caucasian white people versus a darker skinned people. And the evolution of having the different skin color is probably caused by the latitude, the amount of the sunlight to us. So the more people who have been living in more equator tend to have a darker color, which just means that the more melanin pigment under the epidermis skin, while another part, more like upper North Pole or South Pole, this part, people tend to have a less melanin, making them have a more pale skin or whitish color. So people in Australia, even, like whitish people are more prone to having skin cancer because they are less melanin, less protected from the UV light entering from the sun. So what about occupation? So even occupation might affect the incidence of cancer. In the history, the chimney boy in England, UK, tend to get cancer. So that has been shown that what causes it, because that chimney boy inhaled a lot of soot, and that may have caused higher incidence of lung cancer. Likewise, there's a so-called asbestos problem, which is a fine fiber, and that when it enters into our body, and that is as a foreign body, our cells try to go there and engulf and try to digest and disintegrate. But look at this figure. If the fiber size is like this, the cells try to envelope the asbestos fiber, but it's not possible. So there's a consistent chronic inflammation happens, and that causes these cells who are trying to engulf and causing mutations over time. So this can cause a mesothelioma, or if this happens into our lungs, this can cause lung cancer. So asbestos exposure is a big issue for developing a lung cancer. And finally, of course, heredity matters. So, so heredity means if we inherit, let's say, mutation from our ancestor or parents, then that may cause increase the likelihood of getting cancer. So here's some data with about cancers. Some cancers having inherited mutation. So there are like more, some type of cancer, such as ovarian cancer, has a highly more, like even 19% of ovarian cancer having inherited mutation. So heredity matters, but not all the cancer types. You can see, for example, AML, this leukemia cancer is having about 4% is responsible from inherited mutation. So we have discussed about the cancer as a malignant neoplasm, and next time we will discuss about the hallmarks of the cancer. Thank you for your attention.